So the R6 Mark II has now been officially announced, and I think it's gonna start shipping this month as well. Did I make a mistake switching to Sony? Should I have waited and sold my R6 for the R6 Mark II? Let's talk about it. First up, let's talk about some of the new specs in the camera. It's gonna have 24 megapixels instead of the 20 megapixels that was in the R6. It's gonna be downsampled from 6K. It's gonna be able to shoot 6K raw out of an external recorder. That's pretty sick. And they finally got rid of the dreaded 30-minute record limit. Good on you, Canon. But that's not even all. They're gonna have 160 frames per second in 1080p, which I've never heard of a camera having 160 frames per second, but that's, again, pretty cool. The dynamic range is apparently gonna be better as well. I'm just gonna read the rest of the specs off the phone. It's gonna have better ISO performance. I don't know how much better. Better battery life. It has focus breathing compensation like the A7 IV. It has false colors for exposing. Unfortunately, it still only has IPB, which is a bummer, and it has no stack sensor. A lot of people were under the impression that it was gonna have a stack sensor. It doesn't. So as you guys can probably tell, it is a great competitor for the A7 IV. It even surpasses it in a few specs. So what am I gonna do? Am I gonna keep the Sony A7 IV, or am I gonna go back to Canon and get the R6 Mark II? There are still a few things I want to know and try out with the R6 Mark II. One of the things I really want to know is, did they fix the IBIS wobble at all? If not, did they improve it a little bit? Because that was one of the major issues with the R6 with me. I just really couldn't get over those IBIS wobbles. It's just too disorientating. And when you watch it, it makes you kind of want to vomit. And I've heard that the dynamic range is going to improve a little bit. That's one of the things I want to know. How much more dynamic range are we going to get out of it? Because that was one of the major reasons I switched to Sony, because Sony had a bit better dynamic range, and overall it just looked a bit better to me. And last but not least, I'm curious if the custom modes will let you do both photo and video, because from my experience, I believe the R6 could only do custom modes for photo. I've heard other people say they could do it for video, but I don't know if that's true. So, will I switch to the R6 Mark II? Most likely not. It does have a less cropped 60 frames per second, which is this camera's biggest cripple. But that being said, the 60 frames crop doesn't bother me with this camera. Yeah, it'd be nice to have the full frame option as well. I'm not gonna put this camera on a pedestal and pretend like it's perfect, but that's not a big enough reason for me to switch to the R6 Mark II. I had the R6 before this, so I did have pretty much full frame 60p. And I like this camera a bit better. And honestly, the A7 IV will probably have better dynamic range than the R6 Mark II. So that's another reason why I'd probably want to just stick with the A7 IV. I'm hoping to maybe get my hands on an R6 Mark II so I can compare the A7 IV and the R6 Mark II. It's hard to say these sometimes. Put them head to head and just see what looks better. Overall, it is a big improvement from the R6, and for them to remove the record limit is amazing. So if I didn't end up switching to Sony, then I would have most likely upgraded to the R6 Mark II, because it is just a lot better than the R6. Some of the things I think they probably could have done with the firmware update, but maybe they had to adjust some things mechanically to make the camera not overheat. Oh, did I mention that? I don't think it overheats, so that's another big win. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to get my hands on the R6 Mark II and do some comparisons, play with it, have some fun. If you guys wanna see that, hit subscribe, hit like, I'd appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Sorry for the messy, jumbled video. Just wanted to get my thoughts out real quick, and yeah, it's exciting. Cameras are great. Can't really go wrong with any camera these days, but there are little nuances and little things that make each camera unique. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.